It was already dark when the knock came, soft at first, almost hesitant, then again, louder this time. Rashid paused midway through pouring his tea. No one ever visited him this late. No one ever visited him at all. He lived alone in that old house for years. A quiet man, a forgotten man. Or at least, that's what people believed. The knock came again. This time, it carried something else. Desperation. He walked slowly to the door. Each step echoed through the empty hallway, the kind of silence that makes even breathing sound loud. When he opened the door, 2 children stood there, a boy and a girl, no older than 10. Their clothes were dusty, their eyes tired, and their hands trembled in the cold night air. The boy looked up first. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Uncle, we were kicked out today." Rashid froze, not because of what he heard, but because of how it felt. That sentence, it didn't just reach his ears. It hit something buried deep inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. The girl clutched a small, worn-out bag. She didn't speak, but her silence said more than words ever could. Rashid looked behind them. The street was empty. No parents, no guardians, no one. "Where are your parents?" he asked quietly. The boy hesitated, then looked down. They said we're not their responsibility anymore. A cold wind passed through the street, but it wasn't the weather that made Rashid shiver. It was a familiarity. For a brief second, he wasn't standing at his door anymore. He was somewhere else, somewhere long ago, a memory, a younger version of himself, standing outside a house, hearing almost the same words. He blinked. The present snapped back. Without another question, he stepped aside. "Come in." The children looked at each other, as if they couldn't believe what they just heard. "Really?" the girl whispered for the first time. Rashid nodded. "Yes, you're safe here." That word, safe, it meant everything to them. They stepped inside slowly, carefully, as if afraid the moment might disappear. The door closed behind them, and just like that, everything changed. Rashid handed them water, then food, simple things. But to them, it felt like a feast. They ate quietly, every bite fast, as if someone might take it away. Rashid watched them from a distance. Something didn't feel right, not about their story, but about them. The boy had a strange calmness in his eyes, too mature, too aware. And the girl, she kept looking around the house, not curiously, but carefully, as if she was observing, memorizing. "Where did you come from?" Rashid asked. The boy swallowed. "From the other side of the city." "That's far," Rashid said. "How did you get here?" The boy hesitated again, then gave a simple answer. "We walked." Rashid didn't question it further, but something about that answer didn't sit right. Hours passed. The children slowly relaxed. Rashid prepared a small room for them. Clean sheets, warm blankets. The girl smiled for the first time. A small smile, but real. "Thank you, Uncle," she said softly. Rashid nodded, but didn't reply, because deep down, he felt something strange. Not fear, not doubt, something else. A feeling he couldn't name. That night, sleep didn't come easily. Rashid lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The house felt different, alive, but also unfamiliar. Around midnight, he heard a sound, a faint creak, then footsteps, slow, careful. Rashid sat up, listening. The footsteps weren't random. They were deliberate. He got up quietly and stepped into the hallway. The light from the window barely lit the space, but it was enough to see the boy standing near the old wooden cabinet, the same cabinet Rashid hadn't opened in years. "Why are you awake?" Rashid asked calmly. The boy turned, not startled, not scared, just calm. "I couldn't sleep," he said. Rashid looked at the cabinet, then back at the boy. "Did you need something?" The boy paused, then said something unexpected. "This house, it has history, doesn't it?" Rashid's expression changed. "How do you know that?" he asked. The boy didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked directly into Rashid's eyes and said quietly, "Because you're not the only one who remembers." Silence filled the hallway, heavy, Uncomfortable. Rashid felt it again. That strange feeling, but stronger this time. Go back to sleep? He said firmly. The boy nodded and walked away. But as he disappeared into the room, he whispered something, so soft, yet so clear. Tomorrow, everything will make sense. Rashid stood there, frozen, because for the first time, he realized something. Those children didn't just arrive by chance. They came for a reason. And whatever that reason was, it was connected to him, deeply connected. And he had no idea what was about to unfold. Morning came quietly, too quietly. The kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels watchful. Rashid woke earlier than usual, not because he rested well, but because his mind refused to settle. The boy's words echoed again. Tomorrow everything will make sense. He sat on the edge of his bed, thinking, trying to piece together something that didn't yet exist. Then, a smell. Food. Freshly cooked. Rashid frowned. He hadn't made anything. Slowly, he stepped out of his room, following the scent toward the kitchen. And what he saw made him stop. The girl stood near the stove, carefully flipping bread in a pan. The boy was beside her, setting plates on the table. Everything looked normal, too normal. You're awake, the boy said calmly. Rashid didn't respond immediately. His eyes moved across the kitchen. Nothing was out of place, but something felt off. Who told you where everything is? Rashid finally asked. The girl smiled softly. I just guess. But Rashid knew better. This kitchen wasn't simple. Things were hidden, moved, forgotten. Even he sometimes forgot where things were. Yet they moved like they had been here before. Sit, uncle, the boy said. Breakfast is ready. Rashid hesitated, then slowly sat down. He watched them closely as they joined him. The girl poured tea. Without asking where the cups were, the boy handed him bread. Without looking, like habit, not discovery. Have you been here before? Rashid asked suddenly. The room went still. The girl looked at the boy. The boy looked down. Then he smiled slightly. No, he said, but some places feel familiar, even if you've never been. Rashid didn't like that answer, but he let it go. For now, they ate in silence, until the girl spoke. Uncle, do you have a locked room? Rashid's hand froze midair. A locked room, he repeated. She nodded. Somewhere you don't go anymore. The air changed instantly. How do you know that? Rashid asked sharply. The girl lowered her eyes. I just feel it. Rashid leaned back slowly. There was only one room like that, at the end of the hallway. A room he hadn't opened in years. Not because he forgot, but because he chose to. No one goes there, he said firmly. The boy nodded, as if he expected that answer. But then he said something that made Rashid's chest tighten. Some doors don't stay closed forever. Silence again. Rashid stood up abruptly. I have things to do, he said, and walked away. But he wasn't going anywhere. He just needed distance, space to think, because this wasn't normal. These children, they weren't asking random questions. They were pointing at something he buried long ago. Later that afternoon, Rashid stepped outside. He needed air. The world outside felt ordinary. People walked. Cars passed. Life moved on. But inside his house, something else was happening. Something he couldn't explain. When he returned, the door was slightly open. He was sure he closed it. Slowly, he pushed it wider. Hello, he called out. No answer. His heart began to beat faster. He stepped inside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then, a faint sound. From the hallway, Rashid moved toward it, step by step, until he reached the end. And there, he saw it, the locked door. Open. Rashid's breath stopped. That door hadn't been opened in years. Not by him. Not by anyone. Yet now, it stood open. Just slightly, like it was waiting. He stepped closer. His hand trembled as he pushed it. The door creaked slowly, and the past rushed in. Dust filled the air. Memories filled his mind. Everything was exactly how he left it. The old furniture, the faded curtains, the silence, and in the center of the room, the children, standing still, looking at something. Rashid followed their gaze. And then he saw it, a photograph. Old, faded, but clear enough. It showed a younger Rashid, standing beside two children, a boy and a girl. Rashid's legs weakened. That's, he whispered. The girl turned slowly. Her eyes locked onto his. And this time, there was no softness, only truth. You remember now, don't you? She said quietly. Rashid shook his head. No, this isn't possible. The boy stepped forward. You told us we'd always have a home here, he said. Rashid staggered back. His mind raced. Memories began to break through. Fragments, voices, faces, a promise, a night, a choice. What do you want from me? Rashid asked, his voice shaking. The girl answered, not what we want. A pause. Then she stepped closer. What you forgot. The room felt heavier, the air harder to breathe. Rashid looked at the photograph again, then back at them, and suddenly something clicked, something he had tried to erase, but never truly could. You're not, he whispered. The boy finished the sentence. Just children? A faint smile appeared. No, uncle. And then the words that changed everything. We never left. Rashid's world shattered, because deep down, he knew what that meant. And if it was true, then the real question wasn't who they were, but what happened that night, and why he chose to forget it. The room felt colder, not from the air, but from the truth pressing in. Rashid couldn't move. His eyes stayed fixed on the children. You're lying, he whispered, but even he didn't believe it. The boy tilted his head slightly. Calm, almost patient. If we were lying, he said softly, why does this place remember us? Rashid's chest tightened. Stop this, he said louder now. Stop playing games with me. The girl stepped closer. Her footsteps were light, but each one felt heavy in his mind. We're not playing, she said. We came because you opened the door. I opened the door last night, Rashid snapped. She shook her head slowly. No, you opened it a long time ago. Silence swallowed the room. Rashid looked around. Everything was the same, yet nothing was. The old cabinet, the broken clock, the curtain that never moved. And then another memory, a night filled with rain. Louder than anything, a knock at the door. Just like last night, Rashid staggered slightly. His hand reached for the wall. No, he muttered. The boy watched him carefully. You remember the rain, he said. Rashid closed his eyes. He tried to stop it, but the memory forced its way through. That night, years ago, he had opened the door, and two children stood there, cold, hungry, afraid, just like now. I let you in, Rashid whispered. The girl nodded. You did. His breathing grew uneven. I gave you food, a place to sleep. Yes, the boy said. Rashid's voice broke. I told you were safe. The girl's expression softened. You meant it, she said. Rashid looked at them, desperate. Then why are you here like this? He asked. What happened after that? The boy and girl exchanged a glance. Then the boy spoke. You stop remembering. Rashid shook his head violently. No, that's not true. But deep inside, he knew something was missing. A gap, a void. The girl stepped toward the photograph. You kept everything, she said quietly, but not the truth. Rashid followed her gaze again. The photo, 3 figures. Him and them, smiling. A happy moment. But it felt wrong. Incomplete. What happened next? Rashid demanded. The boy didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the window. Do you remember the storm getting worse? He asked. Rashid hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes. The lights went out. The boy continued. Rashid's breathing slowed. Yes. And you left the room, the girl added. Rashid froze. I did, he asked. The girl looked at him. You said you'd be right back. The words hit him hard. I had to check something, Rashid said weakly. The boy turned. You had a choice. Rashid's heart pounded. What choice? The boy stepped closer. Us or something else? Rashid's mind raced. Something else. Something important. something urgent. And then it came back. A phone call, a voice filled with panic. A deal, money, a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Rashid gasped. No, he whispered. The girl's eyes filled with something deeper. Not anger, not sadness, disappointment. You said you'd only be gone for a moment, she said. Rashid stepped back. I had to go, he stammered. The boy's expression hardened slightly. And we had to wait. The room grew heavier. How long was I gone? Rashid asked. Neither of them answered. That silence said everything. Rashid's knees felt weak. I came back, he said quickly. I must have come back. The girl looked at him. Did you? Rashid's mind went blank. He searched, pushed, forced himself to remember. But there was nothing, just darkness. I don't know, he admitted. The boy nodded slowly. That's the part you buried. Rashid's voice shook. Tell me? The girl stepped closer. You didn't come back that night. Rashid felt like the ground disappeared beneath him. What? He whispered. You chose something else. The boy said. No. Rashid shook his head. I wouldn't. But you did, the girl said softly. Tears formed in Rashid's eyes. I wouldn't leave you like that. The boy's voice cut through. But you did. Silence again. Then a faint sound. Not from the room. From somewhere deeper. A memory unlocking. Rashid's breathing quickened. Images flashed. Rain. Darkness. An empty house. 2 small figures waiting. Calling his name. Hours passing. Fear turning into something else. Something worse. Rashid covered his ears. Stop, he whispered. But the memory didn't stop. Because this time, it wasn't hiding anymore. The girl spoke one last time. You didn't just forget us, Uncle. A pause. Then the truth. You left us behind. Rashid collapsed to his knees. Because now, he remembered enough to know one thing. This wasn't just about guilt. It was about consequence. And whatever happened that night was still waiting to be faced. Rashid stayed on his knees, unable to rise, unable to escape what was finally catching up to him. The room no longer felt like a room. It felt like a memory he was trapped inside. I didn't mean to, he whispered, his voice barely audible. The boy looked at him, not with anger, but with something far heavier. You didn't mean to forget, he said, but you did. The girl stepped closer. And forgetting doesn't change what happened. Rashid shut his eyes tightly. I came back, he insisted. I had to. Silence answered him. Then the boy spoke again. Not that night. The words landed slowly, but deeply. Rashid's hands trembled. Then when, he asked. The girl didn't respond immediately. She walked past him, toward the corner of the room, where something old rested, a small wooden box, covered in dust. Rashid's heart skipped. He remembered that box. Or rather, he remembered choosing not to. Open it, the girl said softly. Rashid hesitated. Every instinct told him not to, but something stronger pushed him forward. He stood slowly, step by step, until he reached it. His hand hovered over the lid. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause. Then he opened it. Inside were letters, dozens of them, folded carefully, stacked one over another. Rashid picked one up. The paper was old, edges worn. His fingers shook as he unfolded it. And then he saw it. Small handwriting. Uneven, childlike. Uncle, we waited today. Rashid's breath caught. He grabbed another. It got dark again. We think you're coming tomorrow. Another. We're trying not to be scared. His vision blurred. Letter after letter. Each one carrying hope. Each one slowly losing it. Uncle, we don't have much food left. Uncle, the lights don't work anymore. Uncle, please come back. Rashid dropped the letters. No, he whispered. His entire body shook now. They wrote these, he said. The boy nodded. Every day. Rashid looked at them. But how did I not know? The girl's voice was quiet. You stopped coming here. Rashid's mind raced. I moved on. The moment he said it, he regretted it, because the truth sounded worse out loud. You replaced us the boy said. Rashid shook his head desperately. No, I didn't replace you. But the words felt empty, because he remembered now the opportunity, the money, the life he chose, and the house left behind with them in it. They trusted you, the girl said. Rashid covered his face. I didn't think it would be that long. The boy's voice hardened slightly. It was forever for us. The weight of those words crushed him. Rashid fell back against the wall. I came back eventually, he said weakly. The girl nodded. Yes. Rashid looked up quickly. Then You came back to an empty house, she finished. Rashid froze. Yes, he whispered. I thought you left. The boys stepped closer. We didn't leave. The air grew colder. Rashid's heart pounded louder. Then where were you? He asked. The girl's eyes met his. And for the first time, there was pain. We were still here. Rashid's breath stopped. In this house, the boy added. Waiting, the girl said. The silence that followed was unbearable, because Rashid finally understood. Not fully, but enough. Something terrible had happened. Something he never stayed to see. What happened? He asked, his voice barely there. The boy and girl looked at each other, then back at him, and slowly, the truth began to surface. The storm didn't stop, the boy said. It got worse, the girl added. The roof started leaking, he continued. It got cold, she whispered. Rashid's chest tightened painfully. We tried to stay together, the boy said, but we got weaker. The girl's voice trembled now. We thought you'd come back before anything bad happened. Rashid's tears fell freely. I'm sorry, he whispered, but the apology felt too small. Too late. We believed you, the boy said, and that belief kept us waiting. The girl took a step closer, until we couldn't anymore. Rashid's body went numb. He didn't want to ask, but he had to. What happened after that? He said. The room went silent again. He could feel it. The moment everything changed. The moment he had erased from his life. The girl looked at him and spoke the words that would never leave him again. We stopped waiting. Rashid's heart shattered, because he finally understood what that meant. Not just absence, an ending, a quiet, unseen ending, in a house that was supposed to protect them, in a place they were promised safety. Rashid collapsed completely. There were no more defenses left, no more excuses, only truth, only consequence, and the unbearable realization that he didn't just forget them. He abandoned them to something they couldn't survive. The boy spoke one last time. We didn't come back for revenge. Rashid looked up weakly. Then why? He asked. The girl answered. Because you finally opened the door again. A pause. And this time, her voice softened. You didn't turn away. Rashid stared at them, confused, broken. What does that mean? He asked. The boy stepped closer. It means this isn't the end yet. Rashid's heart beat faintly. Then what is it? He whispered. The girl gave the final hint. A chance. Silence filled the room once more, but this time it felt different, because for the first time since they appeared, there was something else in the air. Not just pain, not just regret, but possibility. And Rashid didn't yet understand what that chance would cost him, or how far he would have to go to face what he left behind. The words stayed in the air. A chance. Rashid stared at them, broken, confused. A chance for what? He asked. The boy stepped forward, closer than before, to finish what you left unfinished. Rashid's chest tightened. I can't change the past, he said. The girl shook her head gently. No, but you can face it. The room began to feel different. The walls, the air, everything around him started to shift, not physically, but something deeper, like the house itself was waking up. What do I have to do? Rashid asked. The boy pointed toward the hallway. The night never ended for us. Rashid followed his gaze. The hallway looked darker now, longer, as if it stretched beyond the house itself. You have to walk through it, the girl said. Rashid hesitated. And then, he asked. The boy's voice turned serious. And this time you don't leave. Silence. Rashid understood. This wasn't about seeing. It was about staying. About not turning away again. He took a deep breath, then stepped out of the room. The hallway swallowed him instantly. The light behind him faded, and suddenly he wasn't in the present anymore. The storm returned. Rain hammered the roof. Wind screamed through the walls. Darkness filled every corner. Rashid stood there, frozen. This was it. That night, the one he ran from. He heard them, small voices. Uncle. Rashid turned. The children, not as they stood now, but younger, weaker, huddled together, shivering. He stepped toward them slowly. I'm here, he said. But this time, they didn't respond the same way. Because this wasn't memory alone. This was truth. The moment he abandoned. And now, he had to live it. The door behind him creaked. Rashid turned instinctively. And there it was. The exit. The same choice. Leave or stay. The storm grew louder. Water dripped from the ceiling. The house groaned under pressure. Fear crawled into his chest. The same fear that made him leave before. You can still go, a voice whispered. Rashid froze. It wasn't the children. It was his own mind. The same voice from years ago. The same excuse. This isn't your problem. They're not your responsibility. You have something more important. Rashid clenched his fists. No, he said out loud. The voices grew louder. Leave now before it's too late. Rashid turned away from the door, toward the children. They looked at him, not with trust. Not yet, but with something fragile. Hope. The storm intensified. The roof creaked dangerously. A loud crack echoed above. The house wasn't going to hold. Rashid's heart pounded. He knew what happened next. He had lived the result. But this time, he wouldn't run. He rushed toward them. It's okay, he said. I'm here now. The boy looked at him carefully. You said that before, he whispered. Rashid's eyes filled with tears. I know, he said. Another crack. Dust fell from the ceiling. The girl held on to him tightly. We were scared, she said. Rashid held them both. I was too, he admitted. The storm roared louder than ever. The house began to collapse. This was the moment everything ended. Or the moment everything could change. Rashid looked around quickly. He saw the broken beam above, the weak wall, the falling structure. There, he shouted. He guided them toward a narrow space near the doorway, a place strong enough to hold. Stay close to me, he said. The children didn't hesitate this time. They trusted him, not because of the past, but because of now. The ceiling gave way. A massive crash filled the house. Everything shook. Everything fell. Rashid shielded them with his body. Pain shot through him. But he didn't move, didn't run, didn't leave. And then, silence. The storm faded. The darkness lifted. Rashid slowly opened his eyes. The house was gone. The rain was gone. Everything was still. He looked down. The children stood beside him. Safe. Whole. Real. The boy smiled slightly. You stayed. Rashid's voice broke. I should have stayed before. The girl took his hand. But you stayed now. Light began to fill the space. Warm. Gentle. The weight in Rashid's chest lifted slowly. Not completely, but enough. What happens now? He asked. The boy and girl looked at each other, then back at him, and for the first time, they looked at peace. We don't have to wait anymore, the boy said. The girl nodded. You remembered us. Rashid felt tears fall again. I'll never forget you again, he said. The light grew brighter. Their forms began to fade. Rashid's grip tightened. Wait, he said. The girl smiled. Not sad, not afraid, just free. You don't need to hold on anymore, she said. The boy added one final thing. Just don't close your door again. And then they were gone. The light disappeared. And Rashid found himself back in his house. The real one, the quiet one. But it wasn't the same anymore, because this time it wasn't empty. Rashid walked slowly to the front door. He stood there for a long moment, then opened it. The night air rushed in, cold, alive. Somewhere in the distance, a faint sound, a knock, soft, just like before. Rashid didn't hesitate. He stepped aside and said the words that now carried a different meaning. "Come in." The door stayed open, and this time he never closed it again.